And we are live.
Hockey Nation fans, welcome back to another great edition of the Hockey Nation Live Show. This is your host, Cold Friendship, directly from the house today. We have to find our co-host directly from the West Coast, California. Welcome back, Michael DiVillano.
Morning, Pierre, and good morning, Craig. Thank you for joining us again.
Good to be with you guys. How you doing?
Pretty good. Great morning, Sunday, Tuesday. It's a little bit cloudy in Florida, like you are, but overall, I think when you wake up the next morning when the Panthers got a W, I think it's always a great morning.
Yeah, especially that second period, guys. Last night they had the franchise record, 29 shots and a big win.
It was amazing. I have the night I'm watching 3-4 game at the same time, but yesterday was like all over. Honestly, I do a post game after, every time they play the Panthers, and I said, like, without could have been yesterday, this game could be like 8-9-1.
They were really firing bullets at them last night.
Like, if you watch could have been the last 2 minutes of the period, Michael, at the second period, it was like, who care anymore? It was a difficult time for him to stand up. Every time he was like so tired, like he's 34. He looked like Gum Worsley. You know how the body he looked like, right? And he was like, it was so funny to watching him at the end of the second period. Like, I think the shot was 25-5, I believe, Greg, at the second period.
29.
Right? And it was unbelievable. And funny, the third period, the first 4 or 5 minutes, the Panthers did not shot any shot on the net. I think they have 10 shots in this third period. But it is like, I believe me at some point. I said that is going to tie up the game, and they maybe lose the game because it was too much. Like it was all. I shot them for about 20 shots at least, and I said it would take only a one breakaway. And Dreger is cold, don't get anything for the last 10 minutes, and he will score and tie the game 2-2. But unfortunately for the Panthers, it did not happen. Parkov sat out the game at the third period with a goal, 7th of the year. But it's unbelievable. I don't know where they're coming from, this team. I don't know what happening, but just curious. I know we're going to have a lot of questions here. People wait for you. Like, I got so many texts from people in Florida to want to talk to you. But my question to you will be like, I tried to find out today, like this morning, I was at the gym and thinking about which player do you believe have a biggest impact this year? He's a new player. The team could be a UFA, could be a trade, could be a not a RFA, but a UFA or a trade Zito with Allen did earlier, or he was not part of the roster last season.
Mm-hmm.
Which player do you believe created the biggest?
I'm going to go. There's a couple you could probably choose from. I'm going to go with Hornquist, Frenchie, and Michael. And I just think, they haven't had this kind of player in so long. I think back to maybe, and Mellenby wasn't even the same kind of player, but at least he was a big body in front who could score and be. But Hornquist is almost more of a pain in a different level because he just camps there. He's feisty. They haven't had this kind of player, and he's been 8 goals already this season, many on the power play. I think he's been, and also look at the game last night. He was getting mugged in front of the net. The shift before he had the fight, 3 guys just hammered him. He had enough. And he took on Klingberg there. And I think that was a kind of a big, subtle play in the game. I'm going to go with Hornquist.
Yeah, I'll second that. And I think when that trade happened, it was a little bit eyebrow raising because I think we all thought, like, this guy's so old. And I think for the second time in his career, we second guessed the move because when he went from Nashville to Pittsburgh, we were all like, what the hell's going on? But both times, I mean, this guy is delivering, right?
Yeah, he's been fun to watch. I didn't realize, talking to him, I haven't seen him up close. He's not your old-fashioned Swede like Nielsen and Hedberg when they came to the Rangers. It was a big deal back in the 70s. This guy is solid and big. He's a big man, and at 34, you mentioned Hudobin's age. Hornquist got a lot of hockey left in him.
He reminds me of, like a Franzen or a Holmstrom for Detroit, where you just like, well, what's this guy doing, and how is he getting all these points? And he's not fancy.
No, not fancy at all. But man, he's impressive, and I think he's had beyond that. I think he's had an effect in the locker room, in the dressing room, on the players with his attitude, the way he plays the game, approaches. They haven't seen this kind of thing around here in a while, this kind of a player. So I think that's a big factor too. And you heard Barkov talking about it in the post game last night about the fight and the energy he brings, and nearly had a goal himself. So he's been impressive. But hey, Pierre, to bring you to your point, I mean, Zito brought in 12 guys. There's a different culture. He's not married, obviously, to some of the contracts of the past, and that's another factor.
So right, I like your choice, but I'll be honest with you, I may be wrong here, but and I know what he bring in front of net. You can talk about Carter with 7 goals, and we didn't expect this. But I'll be honest with you, I believe me, and again, maybe fans Panther will not like my answer here. It's funny you said that, but I really believe Radko Gudas, defenseman, he make another dimension of what the Panthers did not get since Eric Grobenson left the team a couple of years ago. They don't have anybody like physical like him. He bring another dimension of the game like Panthers never have for the like 5-6 years. That kind of meanness, but also that kind of the physicality in front of the net every time out. Yesterday, he has 6 shots. Amazing.
What? Radko Gudas had 6 shots? And they hit the net?
Yes. And another factor with another stat, and I thought great. I was watching you guys yesterday with Ed and everything like that. Do you know yesterday all the defensemen have a shot on the net yesterday? Every one of them have a minimum of 1 shot.
That's good. I know they had 21
on the net
shots from the D.
The Forsling, is it Forsling?
Yeah, Gustav.
They have 5 shots on the net. Eggblad have the mind. It was the 4th defenseman with only 3 shots of a goal. But just give you an idea what Kudos bring on that team. And I understand Patrick is amazing. He was very nice to Glenberg yesterday. He could ram Glenberg like crazy. He stopped to hit him because he thought it was like a boxing. But at the end of the day, I think this team is not. I never thought it was going to be that way, to be honest with you. At the beginning of the year, Michael, you know how many times I said I don't see anything great about that team, and finally I was wrong. Listen, we wake up this morning, first place in the Central Division, and more W they get, Greg, more closer they are in the playoff, contender for the playoff, because it's harder at a short season, like 56, reach other team, because at some point, you cannot have a straight win of 2 teams at the bottom, get a 7-8 win straight. It's almost impossible right now. And we're hitting the 20 games. So you still have about 38 games for team like maybe like Columbus or Dallas right now. They have to win at least 7 games of every tranche of the 10 right now to pass the Panthers. So they are in a great position right now. They are what, 12-2 and
12-3-2.
So they are +9.
Yeah.
26 points.
So at this point, do we call the Panthers real? What do you think, Craig?
I do, absolutely. I wanted to see the last road trip. I think it'd be fair to say, okay, let's see how they do against the big boys. Not just the road trip, the games against Tampa Bay. But then they won 2 out of 3, including that game in Tampa Bay after getting blown out of the building at home. And then they go into Carolina where they never win. And they pull that game out and have had impressive streaks. Then they come in Dallas yesterday. Now, albeit they've been off for 9 days.
A little rusty.
But I thought they would come out flying and maybe take a 1 or 2 goal lead early. And that's exactly what didn't happen. Dallas scores 5 minutes in. They got the Panthers on their heels. What happened here? Which team has been off for a week and a half? And then the second period started kind of like I thought the first period would be, but even beyond my imagination with the domination. So yes, I think they're for real. Does that mean I'm printing the Stanley Cup parade and the tickets? And no, not yet. There's a lot of hockey, but I like what I see. They don't have to be much better. They have to just try and keep. You want to get better, but I think if they play this kind of hockey, they're going to be right there.
I look at the lineup too, and what strikes me. I mean, first of all, Verhaeghe started off really hot, but he's really cooled off goal scoring wise. But he's still getting points. They still have dry powder. They still haven't really gotten much from Connolly. The young guys are kind of getting their feet wet. What do you think about? And I guess maybe we can move on after this, but
yeah.
What do you think the impact or the signing of Duclair has done for them? Has it helped them at all?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, he only has a couple of goals, but he has a million chances. He's flying out there. And I think another thing is it gives him let's say a responsible player on the first line, so Huberdeau can play on the second line.
Right.
It really gives him you got to replace two flanks on your first line. You could take a big hit there. And they bring in, Verhaeghe. These are not big contracts either. They bring in Verhaeghe and they get Duclair.
Smart contract.
First line, and you're winning because Huberdeau's now on the second line. Obviously, the power play is key, so then Huberdeau moves up. So I think that gives you a little more depth. He's got speed. He doesn't seem to be in the defensive zone too much when the Barkov line's on the ice. He hasn't finished as much. Hopefully that'll happen, and we'll see. Through a full season, he's a streaky player. But yeah, I think he's
streaky.
He's been very effective. This guy. You know what I love about him? So many guys to me, I watch them coming in on the wing, and they don't take it to the net. They stay outside. They hit a perimeter shot.
It's easier.
He drives the net with reckless abandon. I like that. He draw a penalty. He may not score every time, but I like the fact that he's going to the net.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree with you,
Pierre.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody, if you have any questions to Greg, just send it to us in the comments, and then Michael will pick it up. But Greg, I'll be honest with you, they are legit, and you point exactly what I said. The trip in Tampa Bay, the 3 game plus the 1 in Carolina, to get out with 3W on the 4 games, make them really a real now. And the way they play, you're going to tell me, oh, yeah, they lost 2 games against Detroit. And honestly, the game they lost against Detroit Saturday, I think, was 2-1, I believe, or 3-2.
Yeah.
It was a great performance of Jonathan Bernier at the end of the day. I think Panthers shot over 35 shots that night. Yep. But you can losing, but sometimes you lose with your head up. And I think when you see that game, you cannot blame them. They tried, they're working hard. Right. And I think they become a resilient team with trust and belief in themselves. They come back. It was a goal at the beginning at 4:52, I believe, a Blake Como, his first of the year. Trigger did not do well on that one. He tried to bring the puck with his stick, and then Como, it was just go around him. He put the puck. You can feel, Trigger stand up. He skated to the corner, and he said himself, he can see his body language. This is me. And nobody else, this is my fault.
Right, yeah.
Reset, come back in the net. That's it. That's how he is so good about his mindset, why he is right now in front of Sergei at that moment. You have nothing against him. And you know what? Panthers go through the first period 1-0, and then they come back like stronger like never. And I think Dallas, you don't want to blame too much them. You have to give, they play without Tyler Seguin, Radulov. The Dallas did not win for the last 6 games. Whatsoever, they have 1 point.
Right. I was going to W. That's the final thing. Will the Stars make the playoffs, though? They have a lot of games in hand,
but without Seguin and that, you know what I mean, and Radulov, that's not the same kind of player, the team right there. And they still injury left and right there as a team. I think there will be struggle. And then Chicago follow. You look at Central Division. Who said the Florida and Chicago right now will be the top 4? And at the beginning of the year, I would never see that. Many expert Greg put Chicago last place in the league, not in the Central Division, behind Detroit and Ottawa, because they lost Jonathan, they lost Dak, lost Nylander. They have no goaltender until they find Lankinen, right?
Lankinen came on,
and everything. And then I want to bring to you for the Panthers is, because Michael said Brett Connolly, but he play now better and better. That's 4 line right now with Lambert and I think it's Lamikov, I believe.
Lamikov,
They bring a lot of energy. They are not looking bad over there. They're always on the ice, try to bring a lot of offensive there. They score a couple of goals the last 2-3 games, but they play well. Connolly getting there. He's on the right chair right now with that line. He brings more energy. He's really caution about his defensive side. He back check a lot, and those two kids, they are good beside him.
All I want from Brett Connolly, though, is 24 goals. I don't. I mean, this guy's a goal scorer, so he's got 1 goal this year. So you got to figure that out.
Yeah, it's been tough.
If he's a checker, you're in trouble.
It's been tough on him. I think getting the fourth line minutes. He did get the one game that up on the front line there, and I agree with Pierre. I think he's shown a little more, and he's going to have to evolve a little bit in his game. It's a fast game. He's not the fastest out there, but he's been hanging in there.
I believe right now he's at the right chair for what the Panthers have. You have Wember in front of him, you have Venetro in front of him, and they have like Parkov in front of him. So he's at the right chair for what
he's not normally a centerman.
I'm sorry again?
Connolly's normally a right winger though, so
yeah, but again, like on the depth shot right now, he's right there, right? They would not put Tippett behind him right now, you know what I mean? And Duclair doing well. And overall, that team is great. I think they are. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
I'll be wrong because I've always been wrong some before, but they're going to make the playoff. They have no. I believe they're going to make the playoff.
You're here first. Panthers will make the playoff.
It's because Columbus is inconsistency. They are 9-6-3, right? Dallas is 5-5-4 now, and then you can go with Nashville struggles in the beginning of the year. Right?
Yeah,
that's why cannot come back. And so if you look around them, if they can beat Columbus, Dallas, and Nashville 5 or 6 game or their 8 game, they're going to make it easily to the playoff. They can lose all the rest of the game against Tampa Bay and the Hurricane. That's not sure they're going to be 3rd and 4th easily on that Central Division. So Kenville does a great job right there with this team, and they are legit, and I believe on them.
So last question on the Panthers. Will Aaron Ekblad be a finalist for the Norris Trophy?
It's funny. We threw this question out early in the season, and it seemed to me a little premature at the time because I haven't seen him in that ilk of the candidates. But, yes, he is playing the best hockey of his career, and he did score 16 goals a couple of years ago. He's getting more ice time. He played 17 and a half minutes through the first 2 periods last night, and he's been joining the rush. Very responsible still defensively. He's not a big hitting defenseman. You don't get that from him, but he plays solid defensively. They're not walking around him. Yeah, and his offensive game. We did this on our pregame show on Fox Sports last night. We were talking about the evolution of defensemen and how everybody. Pierre, you mentioned the shots that the D had last night. Everybody can jump in the rush nowadays. It's amazing.
You need it.
And he's near the net, within 10 or 15 feet. A lot, way more than you'd see in the past. So, yes, I do think he's going to be in the conversation. And I'll tell you this, if the Panthers continue to surprise and wind up at the top of that division or 1 or 2 or one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 points, they're going to see who's their best defenseman, and that's going to help their case for Ekblad for Norris.
Great question, Michael, because 2 years ago, he had a really difficult year. 2 years ago, he was struggle, and the people was talking about, he got $7 million. He don't play at the level he should play. He's not number 1 defenseman on any team, and he got a lot criticized by people. But I will tell you one thing. I am the Panthers many times. One player worked so hard on off ice, like when the season don't work. Michael, June, July, August, he's always at the rink skating 1 hour with an assistant coach. Like it could be with Anthony, it could be anybody else. He's on the ice working hard, shot after shot. The kids working, so he paid everything he did for the last 2 years after a bad year. That's paid off right now. That's really have 6 goals right now. And he deserved this because he worked hard. He's the most working player on that team, to be honest with you. The kid worked so hard, and I think we have to give him credit for that part. And, one-timer shot, he's really a quarterback now on the PK, on the PP over there. He bring a lot more what we expect. And, sometimes I blame him or a lot of giveaway with Parker, we done that. But most people like defensemen like him, like John Carlson and Drew Droney, Carlson and Weber, those PK Subban, they have the most giveaway with puck usually on that stat because they have the most of the time the puck, right? So you cannot blame him, honestly. Better way on. He won more his battle too. I think one thing he's better is his position with his stick on the defensive side. He is better this year like he was before. So yeah, he's another great player. I think he helped a lot this year, the Panthers.
Good point.
Gentlemen, do we want to talk about the crosstown rival Bolts last night?
Sure.
I know it's kind of taboo, but
hey, it's a hockey show. That's fine.
It is. So we had a big matchup between them and the Canes, right? And I think Pierre's pointed out like how good the Canes are, but did we expect Steven Stamkos to have the production that he's having right now?
Not he got his 9th goal last night, right?
Ninth goal.
And he hadn't played every game, I don't think, right?
No, he missed a couple of games.
He missed a couple of games, yeah.
Played 14, so he's got 9.
He missed one. I think he missed one of the 2 games against the Panthers, if I can recall it, because COVID-19, he said, but sometimes he said that, but he have an injury. He played the last game.
He's played 14.
Yeah, he's missed 2 games.
Yeah. Look, he he's back to being without Kucherov on the other side. He's back to being that one point shot. He's got 7 power play goals in 14 games. That's pretty good number. And they used to kill you with the two off wing shots with Kucherov and Stamkos, but Kucherov's out. So I haven't seen all their games. I've seen them a few. I've checked in. Last night was interesting though. Carolina is the first place team, right? Tampa Bay is in third. And the odds makers had Tampa Bay as a road favorite in that game. I think they were plus 120, which was interesting to me that, that they're still looking at the defending Stanley Cup champions, even with some of their injury issues that they've had, that they were the favorite and they ended up winning. They had an empty netter. It was a tight game, but they won 4-2. Good win for them. Really
big win for them. Honestly, I watched the game also. And you know what? Carolina have a lot of turnover yesterday. 20 on giveaway on the stats yesterday. Carolina is one of the best team on giveaway puck all year long. When he passed 12, 13, that's the most they do usually. But yesterday they got 20 of them. The score don't show exactly. It was a little bit more tight, but overall, Tampa Bay have a solid game yesterday. Again, Carolina, I think Carolina didn't play the level usually they play. I just love Carolina. Since the beginning of the year, Tampa Bay have just their snap there too. It's rare Boston and Tampa Bay lose back-to-back game. It's not happening a lot, and it has happening to them last week. They lost 2 games against the Panthers, and 1 against Carolina, and then finally it's a big W over there. That gave them close to the Hurricanes. They gave also a chance to Florida to be first place this morning, 1 point and lead by in front of the Hurricanes. But at the end of the day, big W over there. But I want to shift one thing. The Los Angeles Kings have 5 straight W now, and the last 5 games. But I want to talk about their captain, Dawson Brown. 2 more goals yesterday. 10 goals, because you talk about Stamkos, right? We try to find players right now. He's, over 33 years old. Brown is 35, 36, and he have 10 goals this year. That team is completely changed. Jonathan Quick have a game average of 4.56, I believe, last Tuesday. So we talk about 1 week ago.
A week ago, yeah.
He played 3 games, 3-0-0, gave only 2 gave goal average, 2 only, and then he won the 3 game and played have 2 shutout. Completely changed from Quick at the beginning and now. And yesterday, again, Vilardi scored his 5th of the year. And then Dawson Brown scored 2 goals, 1 in the empty net. But still, that's just that team right now is on fire. I know, Michael, you live there, cannot watching them because of the blackout over there. But,
every single day.
Vilardi have another great game yesterday. That team is played amazing. They are right now in the playoffs.
Yeah, surprise, right? I mean, we're talking about surprises in the Eastern Conference. They got 19 points. They're actually in the playoff mix. Nobody predicted that for this team. They looked like more rebuilding was going on, and still a long way to go too for them. But that is a great win. What's with the St. Louis Blues? By the way, 3-0 seemed to be the score last night. I think there were 2 or 3 games with the 3-0 scores last night, and the Blues have been struggling of late as well. So I think it's a crazy year too. I would ask this back to you too, Frenchie, in that, do you think this condensed schedule is going to play a role here, where maybe star players are going to either have a day off, if you will, baseball style, or just be hard to be at your best? It was hard enough, 82 games over 6 months, but this condensed schedule, it's got to be hard to be your best night after night. The Panthers, for example, they couldn't have followed that second period with the third period the same way last night. It's impossible.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Michael. I have a point.
It's funny because we talked about this maybe yesterday, and I was like, is the secret weapon resting Drew Doughty? Is the secret weapon resting Steven Stamkos? And they're coming back against players that have been playing day after day without practice, without rest. Drew Doughty's been on a tear, right? And I think that you look at guys like Brownie, and you're like, wait, wasn't this guy going to be what he was? He was removed as the captain even of the team at one point.
Yeah.
So I think the condensed schedule helps them for sure.
I would answer this to you.
Like, does that help? Is it the reduced schedule is helping Jordan Staal because he's having a phenomenal start?
My point to you is this part. First of all, the COVID-19 play a big role, right? You have a team, shut down for 5, 7, 10, 13 days, 14 days. It's not easy for those teams, right? The second thing is back-to-back game hurt for a longest straight game, like less than just 5. It's rare you can do that. You're not going to see a lot of teams going to have a long, like look Dallas this week. 3 games on 4 nights against Panthers, advantage Panthers because Dallas was out at least for a minimum 8 to 9 days, no play games. Right. So that will helping Panthers at the end of the day, and they at home. So that's another good advantage. So the short season advantage, my point is, if you win a lot of games at the beginning of the year, it would be harder to reach them back because you're not going to see a lot of teams winning. Look, St. Louis Blues, they are now on last 3 of the 4 games, right? Prior to that, they have a stretch of they win 3 of the 4. So you get to see Montreal did not lose the last 2 games right there. You can lose them like Tampa beat 2 last week, Boston 2. Colorado beat Vegas 2 times. Now they lose yesterday 3-0. Right. Look, Calgary yesterday beat Toronto 3-0 yesterday. Matthews he snapped 13 games with 1 point, right? It was only his 5th game of the year with no goal in 20 games. And it will happen a lot. Toronto, what they did yesterday, they did not dress Anderson, Thornton, Muzzin, Hyman. And they was trying to win anyway with the, the backup players to try to hang in there, whatever you have, Matthews, Nylander, and Tavares and Riley, right? But point to you be, I believe it's harder to have a longest straight winning because the reduction of back-to-back game. But at the end of the day, we live in USA. If you have a chance to live in Canada, this is the paradise in Canada right now because that's what they dream to see game after game, 4 point, fight for the game, and play back-to-back like that. I believe they will make next year start baseball schedule weekend where they would bring the team Thursday, Sunday, and maybe play 2 games during the weekend and then move on to the next one. Yeah, they would save more money. That would bring more the rivalities. That would better for, I believe, to do that way. I think that's what they discover, I believe, this year as a NHL. Now, only division, I don't think so. But I think the schedule that way, I think that will help a little bit better. And maybe not play with every team in the league and play 1 game in March again, Colorado, and then come back only in October, to play another game. I think we should not play about everyone because the rivalities is getting better. I'm telling right now, Panthers, Lightnings, they run out. Now it's only 3 games. But when you're going to hit the game number 6, 7, 8, fighting for the spot for the playoff, you're going to see a lot of nasty play over there where Gord and Orvis and those guys play in front of the net, they will push each other more like you never see for the last, 10, 20 years in hockey.
That's a good point. And then obviously we mentioned this last week too, that the fact that even the regular season rivalries, they're going to be building into the playoffs, and you have to go through your division to get out, unlike past years where the wild card could swing over into your division. So you're going to go 1-4-2-3. And maybe in Florida we get a dream matchup of Bolts and Panthers. That'd be good for the state.
Oh my
but
goodness.
no matter what, you're going to go through your division before you get out this year.
So you think about this 8 games, then you have a minimum and 4 more games. That's 12, and that give me game 5, 6, 7. Possible you play 15 times again the same thing. Don't tell me they're not going to like each other. Can tell you that it's going to be worse and worse.
You're right. What about the North Division now? They're playing. Are they playing 9 or 10? Like Montreal's playing. They're playing more because they have less teams.
Yeah. So what they did is they play 9 times versus 4 teams, and then they play 10 times versus 2 teams. Like Montreal played 10 times, Toronto and Ottawa, and then Winnipeg played 10 times. Example like Toronto and and Calgary and Vancouver and Edmonton. So they add 2 more games again. 2 team. Again, that would be worse because now 10 times against Toronto at some point that will hurt. That would be ugly at some point. But I think it's still good in Canada because I'm watching all the game. The rivalities, Michael, you from Toronto, how it is right now. It's going to be bigger and bigger at some point between Toronto and Edmonton and Vancouver. Vancouver have a good week last week. They have 1-1-2. They play better. Dubois scored.
Tough, man. I don't know. Vancouver isn't tough though.
Tough loss against Winnipeg the other night. With they had the lead there and give up the. I mean, the Pettersson got that big goal for them to at least tie it late, and to get that at least that 1 point there.
It's funny you bring this goal because when I saw this goal, right, he missed prior to that one. I don't know if you see that before that.
I watched it 4 times,
he hit
5
the
times.
mask of the goaltender, right?
Yes. Right.
Then he scored. But Michael and Greg, Ovechkin, Stamkos, Mike Hoffman, those snapper, right, at the same spot, night after night. Puck go from the quarterback, transversal to another side, bring to those guys, and the goalie, he knows the puck is going there, but they find the way to score. It blew my mind to see that. Like, Ovechkin is going to get a puck over there, but they find a way, Michael, to score. For me, it's like, because it's funny because that's what I remind Peterson that night. The one-timer shot on power play, I think it was tied the game, I believe. No?
It tied the game. It was a 6-on-4. They pulled a goalie. They were down by a goal, and they got a fleet penalty.
And then Dubois scored an OT on the break on the side. He came back to score. But again, I just blew my mind. Those guys always the same spot, the same house, the same, and they find a way, Michael, to score. Top shell, corner, whatever it is.
Yeah,
amazing.
Well, the one guy who is sniping though this year, and I don't know if we expected this, is Brock Besser. So I don't know, has anybody watched him, and what's your take on him, Craig?
I haven't seen him enough this year, but man, when I saw him in person last year, I was really impressed with him. And in fact, the whole Vancouver, I started looking around this team. And I'm like, wow, they got some good players. And I was a little surprised they came out so sluggish out of the gate. I do catch them late at night when I come home after one of our Panther games, and you tend to watch obviously the late games. But I haven't watched them close enough to know why are they struggling. They're 8-12-2 right now. So it's been a rough go. Even the other night they get a good point scoring late, but I thought they might take a little step. What about you guys?
I can answer because I'm watching them a lot. Their answer is easy. Their defense is terrible this year. They struggle a lot.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes have a great year. I understand they have not 20 points, I believe, something like that. But their D was terrible. And Browser, to give you an idea of why he's doing well, and I would be curious, I don't have the stat in front of me, Michael, but he scored maybe half of his goal on power play. And he have a great year. I think I wasn't expecting him to be that way, but he's the catalyzer of that team. I'll be honest with you, he catalyzed everything. He got 3 goals on power play.
He got 3 of his 12.
So, again, I think that problem they have, and that's the reason why they look better now, because they structure better their D, and they have better way to play better on defensive side, and that's helping them to get a 1-1-2 last week. And then hanging with the Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Calgary last week. that and better performance also the goaltender. But I think the biggest problem for me, Vancouver, since the beginning of the year, it was more the structure to play on defensive side with the D. That's the reason for me they struggle so far.
Do you think at some point that this blows back on the coach? Because he's in his 4th year, I think, right?
Not at all. One of the best goal coach in NHL, be honest with you, is Travis Green. I just think, look, if you think about this, Pedersen did not start to play the level he play right now. You know what I mean? They play without GD Miller at the beginning of the year, and you can go all the way like this. I don't think so. It's the same personnel player you have last year. I think what they did wrong is maybe letting go Danev, Toffoli, Markstrom, and they was expect player like Verdenen, pick it up. They missed, you'd be funny you said that, but they missed the little kids, Tyler Mote.
Oh, Tyler Mote.
You won't say, yeah, but he's a third line. But you know what? He's a great player, like a little bit like what Gord does over there, play on PK.
Gord, yeah.
Take a lot of quality time over there. But again, I would not blame Green on that one over there. I don't believe that's because of Travis Green. It's just like did not play the level they should play. And you're going to see them a little bit better and better right now. That's the reason they play better the last 5 games.
I want to shift gears a little bit and ask about the big game last night, the Quebec Nordiques versus the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah. First of all, let's talk a little Tahoe too, because that was, and I know they had the ice prop, but it was spectacular.
Yeah.
What a setting. However, why does Colorado have to wear a Nordique jersey for a game like that? I mean, the games I didn't like that part, the Nordique jersey for that game. I don't mind paying homage. I love the Whaler uniform on Carolina, but not in a signature game where you kind of want to see the team's colors. And I do give Colorado credit because they're one of these teams that has not changed their jersey. Everybody changes. They never changed it. It's the same look, which is kind of cool.
I think the real question is, why are they not wearing that jersey every night?
The Nordique jersey? You sound like such a Canadian. Anyway, look, that Nordique jersey in that what color blue was it? Do you call that blue?
Black or is it blue? It's weird.
No, the Nordique said that
the cornflower blue.
Is that what it's called? Cornflower blue?
I think it's like the fleur de lis, right? It's like the
fleur de lis.
The absolute best. We were talking last week about some of the things I did. I don't know if I mentioned it. Oh, we did mention the Pee Wee tournament at Le Colisée. Because I got to do that tournament for 4 years, and just being in that building, wow, was that something else? The Hockey City of Quebec, and they had so many great teams there too. Unfortunately, they go to Colorado and they win the whole thing. But I do love the logo, and I love but I like in that color they had the corn. I didn't know it was cornflower.
I think it's cornflower. I'll look it up. I'm calling it cornflower.
We're calling
it cornflower blue.
I throw my cornflower out when it's blue usually, but that's just
maybe that's probably true. I think it's spelled differently. It's not the.
Monsieur.
Actually, I'll mention one thing. Like, I hope that they keep wearing it because Quebec has the best arena not in the NHL. And I'm not talking about the Pepsi Center Colisée. Have you seen the Videotron Arena in Quebec City?
I've just seen some footage of it. I know they built it with the intent of getting a team.
Yeah.
And probably were ticked off to see these clubs go to Vegas, which obviously has worked in a major way, and then Seattle.
Yeah. Well, Seattle's got the worst building in the NHL, and they haven't even started.
They're redoing the key, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a disaster. It's already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it'll never make money. Their plan was to go 20 feet into the ground, and I'm like, it's next to the Puget Sound, it's going to flood. And they were like, you're just negative, because I was up in that area with Everett, right? And I'm like, okay, and it flooded. So they can only.
Is that right?
They could only go 15. So now they have less seats because they were trying to lower it because they can't raise the roof to have unobstructed seating. It is a disaster. It's not cool.
I didn't realize.
They're only going to have 17,000 seats. That's the dirty secret. They're supposed to have 19 or 20.
Well, sometimes a little demand isn't the worst thing. Maybe with a new franchise, for example, the Panther building is too large. They went they went from Miami Arena about 14.8, 15, which obviously was too small. They were selling out every game, to this large 19 plus 19.5, when really a 17 and change, you want to demand, especially in these so-called non-hockey markets for tickets. It's just to me, it's a little too, it's not Chicago, it's not Montreal. It's a little too large. And I think a lot of teams, you look at baseball, I know it's a different sport, but they're going to these smaller stadiums to create a little more atmosphere and
Not for Seattle,
demand.
Oh my God, Greg, you bring so much a great idea here. This is great. I love this part because
Seattle, guys. Seattle has 30,000 tickets sold out.
imagine this, my like Carolina, Florida, Arizona, Nashville. Put them in a stadium about 12 to 14,000 people.
That's all
The
they're getting.
people in town, you go to fight to get tickets. You go to looking for tickets. And I think that's a great idea to bring those stadiums
in the NHL, guys. There's no way. You need
probably 17.5 minimum.
You need 17.5 to break even.
With a lot of suites.
And the boxes. There's no way. You need that's why a lot of them build 18, 19 and a half, and they're very profitable.
But again,
stuff in 20 and 19.5. But if you look at like Seattle, they have 30,000 season tickets sold. How are they going to do that?
Going to Greg ID, right now in Florida, they cannot bring 10,000 people.
Well, that's a different issue, right?
So my point is this: they're winning right now. You're going to see a fight or ticket the next 2 months when you go to go to playoff. It will be hard for them to fill up 17,000 people. But imagine you have a stadium of 12,000 people to fight for the tickets and to get full all the night. That changes completely the atmosphere. That changes completely everything. And I said the rink is smaller, but the point is to bring those 20,000, 19,000 at 14,000. I believe that's a great idea to figure out that part over there. You're not going to get anywhere 15,000 and Panthers on the consistency game after game. So why not to have a place where you have less people, but better?
I'll give you guys one right now. UBS Arena, which is the one being built in Belmont, where I grew up, not far on Long Island. The capacity is about 17.2, 17.4 for the Islanders. That's what the number is. Now, obviously, if the Panthers to get to the playoffs, then all of a sudden that 19 you kind of like as it moves along, because you will sell the 19. But I think you got to look at it as a daily basis on a regular season. And look, New York, they could have built a bigger arena. There's a reason the roof is going to be low. It's going to feel tight. And 17.5, you can do fine. Obviously, they're going to have all the luxury suites where a lot of money is these days, too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you look at there's a big difference there because Seattle is a top 5 TV market, first of all. And they needed a bigger building, and it was just some cronyism within the city that a terrible mayor they have.
How many people are in Seattle? Do you know? Long Island's got 3 million at least.
There's not that many. There's like 800,000 in Seattle proper.
It's all the suburbs.
And then the burbs, it probably goes up to like a million and a half, 2 million. If you look, we have 2 major junior teams in the city, essentially. Like we have Everett Silvertips, which is our team. We're like 6,500 a game. So we're top 5 in the CHL for attendance. Yeah. And then you got the Seattle Thunderbirds, and they're no slouch. They're probably like 3,800 to 4,000 a game. So those are major junior teams in Canadian Hockey League. So they've done a good job seeding it. That's good. A lot of those fans go to Vancouver now. You'll see a lot of Vancouver Canucks jerseys. So there'll be a good rivalry there. It was a mistake. I mean, I think there's nothing you can do about it now. But
Greg, you opened up the door for Lake Tahoe. So I'm just curious about, the Panthers came back in town a couple of days ago, after the game Saturday night against Detroit. I'm sure some of them watching Lake Tahoe, everything like that. And you're around the team and you talk with players and maybe you walk with Ed Janowiski yesterday. But my point was, did you hear or did you hear some stuff where they like, player was excited to see Lake Tahoe? Do you have any comments you got from other people, the ex-NHL player or the players playing right now in NHL about the happening last weekend for Lake Tahoe?
You're right. For those people watching, I work with Ed Jovanovski and Jeff Chikrin and Randy Moeller, former NHLers on our broadcast too. So I talked to those guys about it. Not Chick yet. He was actually out in Arizona watching his son, who's been unbelievable, by the way. Jacob Chikrin. For Arizona, conversation for another day, but some conversation that perhaps will be an Olympic defenseman for Team Canada next year. We'll see. Everybody was. I mean, when you saw those pictures, it looked like one of my mother's. My mother used to have a paint. She was a painter. She had a picture of the old garden at Ranger Fan Club. It was an old oil painting from the 50s with Harry Howell in the shot and the Ranger fan. And this reminded me when I saw a picture of it. It's like I can see the painting. I mean, is it real? It's unfortunate that they couldn't at least light up the lake a little bit. I've been on movie sets before.
Oh yeah, that would have been cool.
Put these big lights on, and it's unbelievable. It makes it look like daytime. They had it for the rink, but it would be nice to have the lake a little lit so that you could see it for night. But hey, they did a great job. Unbelievable setting. You hope to see it again. The players, when you see the reaction, somebody asked me when we were watching the game, do you think the players enjoy going all the way out there for one game? I said, absolutely. Yeah. I said, the referees are taking a picture after the game. This is a moment you don't forget. What a thrill to watch a hockey game from Lake Tahoe.
I think, unfortunately, it's COVID-19, right? So the traveling and everything is not a sign, but the players, if you have a chance to bring the family and to enjoy Lake Tahoe at the same time, like they did this weekend, I'm sure the most people was more excited after at before. He was not sure about their expectation after that.
Yeah.
But now the people, it's funny because one of my best friends, she lived there 10 minutes from the rink, right? And she invite me all the time and she talk about amazing. I was in Aspen a couple of years and we talked that, but the way this, and I understand the problem to get with the ice, understand the post-bowl game, and you can go all the way like this. But at the end of the day, NHL and the players and everybody win because of the beauty of Lake Tahoe and how it was. It was amazing. All the great comments every time. So that's what I was curious about. Those players like the ex-NHL, the player like Barkov right now, Huberto was just thinking about. They maybe would love to be there for the. I think it's something they will maybe repeat NHL to go those scenery like that because it was amazing.
I think it was great too.
Sorry, Craig.
No, go ahead.
What were they saying about getting an arena? Was there a result of this where they end up with some sort of an arena?
Who?
In Lake Tahoe.
Oh, is that right? I didn't see that, but boy, if it was, you want to be able to see the lake.
So what happening is this part, like you have they have the Doc
Emmerich.
Yeah, so they have like a report about NBC did something about him after that, everything like that. But then they bring after on NBC Sport, they bring the woman in charge about the Lake Tahoe, the tourists, everything like that. And they going to build a ring over there join the convention center, and they will have a new ring in the next 2 years, 3 years, and that would bring about people come from everywhere to have that part. A little bit what Aspen has, like it's not going to be an NHL level, right? But that will open up a ring over there for the next couple of years. So it was impressive. Great. Yeah, so that's what's happening. She's in charge about the tourist convention, whatever. Open up at the Lake Tahoe.
You worked in that league, right? The Western League, Frenchie. Those teams could play there. You could have big tournaments. You have parents can go skiing. I've had a chance to ski there a few times. Heavenly. Remember one time we went to Kirkwood, and I think it was Kirkwood. It's something close to Heavenly, and there was believe it or not, it was like 5 feet of snow one night. They closed the resort. We got into the parking lot. You couldn't ski. There was so much snow. I couldn't believe it. We went back the next day, and I had never skied in powder. Powder was literally, I'm not kidding me, up to my waist. And the first time down, I'm like, this is great. Second time down, I fell, lost my ski. Took me an hour and a half to find it. Then I realized that's why they have those little orange cords on the back of their boots.
You got to tighten your bindings, man. Quickly, around the league last night, Minnesota thumps the Sharks. What's our reaction to Kaprizov? How's he doing?
Frenchie, I'll give it you first because I did see the score, but covering a game, I flipped over and saw some highlights.
Minnesota came back last week for the COVID-19. They have a bad first game after missing like 13, 14, days and missing a lot of players on the COVID-19. That. But the last 3 games, Minnesota is getting who they are. I think now they are 9-6, and they won the last 3 games. And they have a good trip on the West Coast because they play against the San Jose. Now they play the Anaheim Ducks prior to that one where the Ducks struggled a lot. They lost the last 4 games. But But again, it's not only Kaprizov right now. You can see the older players step up over there. And I think one thing we don't talk about this, we talk about Lankinen and Chicago, but the new goaltender in Minnesota, Kakkonen, I believe, or Kakkonen,
Yeah.
great the last couple of games over there. We know Talbot is an injury over there, so all the game he does right now, and Stalag, they have no games in the beginning of the year, so it's great to see a kid like this carry on that team, and they do very well for the last during the time they're on the road, and they are back from the COVID-19. So another interesting team, to be honest with you, because me and Michael, I believe, we were skeptical about that team. All the champ Bill Gehring brings during the summer, trade Eric Stahl and Cannon, I believe, and so it's another thing why they surprised me since the beginning of the year, and they get today with 9-6. Not sure really. No,
Right,
how many games they play against Vegas? How many games they play against Colorado? Right, there's another subject there, but still, we have to give credit. They have 9. It could be like 5-11, right? So we have to give them the credit.
Sure.
They play there very better what we expect for me.
I think you brought up a really good point that I forgot about, which is the Finnish kid is a guy they've been burying in the AHL, and people thought maybe for a year or two too long. And man, he's like another Finnish goalie. He's like having a huge impact here. Just when you thought they weren't going to pump any more great goalies out, this guy comes from not really nowhere.
It doesn't end. It doesn't end with that. And they have a couple of games in hand. Looking at the standings on both the Kings and Arizona, 3 in hand, and they're only a point back. So they're kind of lucky when you look at that top to bottom. Vegas got 23 points, and Minnesota's got 18, and that's 1-6. So that is a much tighter than you see in, like, for example, in the North. You got Toronto's got 30, and 5th place has got 19. A big gap. So that could be anybody's division
right there. And the second thing we said to everybody here, they listening us right now, is like, be careful a little bit. Wait until they reach 30, 35 game. Reason why? Some team did not play against the best team, and that could be a change for the next 10 games, right? So, example, maybe Minnesota did not play a lot of games against Colorado. I think they played 2 times or 3 times by the Colorado, but they didn't maybe not play Vegas. Like right now, Vegas, Colorado play 4 games back to back. That's something now you can see those 2 teams are over the rest of the division, right? So you have to be careful about that. I think Panthers play only 2 games against Carolina, I believe, so far. But he played 3 games against Tampa, but maybe did not play another game against Columbus. So a lot of teams like that. Montreal plays 6 games against St. Louis, Arizona. All right? So St. Louis looked great. 1 week ago, they have 10-6-3, I believe. But they play 7 games against St. Louis, against Arizona. Right? So you have to be careful when you look for the team. Right now, you have to see where did you play again, who did you play, and how many games they have to play again, the best of the division. And that's what is difficult for the East Division, because there are 8 great teams whatsoever. Buffalo struggle a bit. It's not easy team to go, and if you go to Detroit right now, or maybe Ottawa, those teams usually, or the Ducks, you expect to win most of the time. But in the East Division, whatever you play Buffalo, whatever you play against team, and right now in the East Division, it's not easy. You have to give credit to Boston to be in the first place right now with 11-3-2, I believe they are. And night after night, they play well every time like that. And you talk about earlier the short season with COVID-19. Look, the Flyers, the last 2 games they came back for the COVID-19. They're still missing 6 players. That's not the same quality hockey you offer night after night. When they lost 7-3 against Boston, but again, without the 6 regular players usually play on that team.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then the other thing is, after the season's over this year, the regular season, are the records for real? As you mentioned, the East is a tough division, but once they come out, you don't really know as much like in normal past years because everybody's playing everybody else.
Oh my God. You nailed it, Greg. You nailed it, Greg. I was watching, the thing I love is watching game, but what I love is the press conference after the game. You hear the coaches, the players, and that. But Mike Bergevin said last week, because you have a day off, so you have a week, a day, they meet the manager, and there was Mike Bergevin. And Mike Bergevin, they asked him, what do you think about your team? It's very hard to tell you we don't play against Boston, we don't play against the
Right.
Rangers, we don't play against other team. We only play in the North. So it's hard to qualify where we are really
You're
because
right.
we don't play against other team. And that's very difficult for the manager to figure out what kind of team really they are. And I think that's
Right.
a great point, Greg, you bring to the because honestly, Panthers are really great. I don't know if they would play against Boston,
Right.
the Flyers, and the Islanders, and Colorado, and Vegas, if really they will beat 13-3-2. I don't know.
Right.
And
right.
nobody can answer that
we'll find
question.
out. It's a weird year. That's in sports, and we're going to find out. But it's fun the way they sliced it up this year. No question.
Honestly, it's great for me. It's great night after night. I'm watching game and North Division, like Ottawa, Montreal tonight. Ottawa win 2 of the 3 games. It's never stopped night after night. Something big. Who said yesterday Calgary is going to beat Toronto?
Everybody. Because the Toronto Maple Leafs had like so many players out.
That's the first time. It's the third time in the history of Calgary. And how many play year they play? It's the third time they shut down Toronto at home. Only 3 goaltenders did that. So it's amazing me. Monahan did not score for the last 12 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm concerned about the Flames more and more the more I watch them. Like if you watch last night and the game before, like what has gone on with Sean Monahan? Like generally the team is not playing with jump either. Like I don't know, Craig, if you've watched them and Coach French.
I've watched them a few times late at night. I watch a period here. I love watching the late games. I usually want to bounce in, a period here, a period there on some of these games. And, it is like we were talking about seeing them play the same team day after day. It is a little harder to gauge, to get the real feel for the pulse of the team. I don't have that, but they've been inconsistent. You've seen a lot of inconsistency out west. Edmonton seems like a different team now than they were 2 weeks ago too, and that's in a positive sense lately for the Oilers.
Yep, good point. I mean, the Oilers been on fire. McDavid, we know, had a hat trick, and he's got 37 points. Craig,
wow!
He's on pace for, I think, for 140 if he played a full year, right? Is that what it works out to? Something like that, French?
Over 100 points for sure. But great point right there. Consistency is the key of that part over there. And the team cannot get a 4 or 5 losing game back to back because they would push back too far and the standing. And I think that's a great point. And Calgary is the inconsistency. I said that every time they can play. Look, they play a solid game yesterday. Look, the next game, they can be flat every time. Monahan had no goal until yesterday. They have 12. First goal the last 12 games. Whatsoever have 5 assists, you're going to tell me, but that's the kind of center you need. That's your number one, like Barkov does for the Panthers. Monahan is the kind of player for the Flame, whatever Lindholm is there. I understand. Kudrow have a great start, a little bit cold right now. Kachuk is not regular like the play he's supposed to play, but I think their D is completely different like he was before. That's maybe hurt more to anything else because they lose a couple of D right there where they may be more structure. But again, it's a team is not consistency night after night. I know we hit the 12 o'clock. Right before you leave, I just want to have a question about the Panthers. What you've been there for years, you've been there, you're daily with them usually. What is the feeling, or what do you see that's different about their behavior or the mindset or everything like that? What do you feel about that?
For the Panthers this year, I think they've got a new culture. I think, and it starts with Bill Zito. I think you can't give the guy enough credit. Also, I think it helps that Joel Quenneville had a year under his belt. As a coach of hockey, right in the beginning of a season, especially, you're not quite sure what you have. You talk to the scouts, you talk to the assistants who were there last year, but you really don't know. You don't have a feel for it. Quenneville knows his personnel very well. Maybe by midseason last year, he knew what he had. He's wondering why they're giving up so many goals. And he's watching guys, give up easy goals. And you're not seeing that. You're not seeing easy backdoor plays against the Panthers. And I think they maybe themselves, they didn't know how good they would be. And so they're gaining some confidence, which is a scary thing. But I think your point on Radko Gudas is a good one in that they're tougher and they're harder to play against, and they feel that, and they're uniting. And there's nothing like winning. I remember Jack McKeon, the baseball coach, used to say to me all the time, winning is fun and fun is winning.
Absolutely right.
And they have that. They have that going for them. But I think it starts from the top. Any good organization, from Zito. Let's go higher. From Vinny Viola and Doug Sifu, who started this and spending some money, and then down to the new general manager. Give Talent some credit. He brought a lot of these guys in too. His scouts drafted some of these guys. New eyes, less attachment to the contracts. You're seeing that in goal, obviously. And exciting new players that have been a surprise. Nobody picked the Panthers for the playoffs, Frenchie.
No. I'll be honest with you. I put them out of the playoff. I'm honest with you. I put them 6, 5. Depends how they're going to play against other team. But I think you bring one point here before we leave is second year of Kenville. I think Kenville is, last year he looked, he studied, he know what kind of player, because Kenville have it. He loved different typical player. He cannot have all the. Remember when he won the Stanley Cup in Chicago? I was bringing this to Michael yesterday. You cannot have all the Patrick Kane. You cannot have all the Jonathan Todd. You need people like Andre Shaw. You need the third line strong. You know what I mean? Like remember those guys at the bottom. They was working hard for them. Everything like that. And Brent Sad over there, and those kind of players where he liked the intensity over there. I'm just missing a guy play for the Panthers a couple of years before he came from Chicago.
Versteeg?
Yeah. So, Versteeg. You need the third, bottom six, more physical, and that's what Kenville was looking. I think that's the reason they did not sign up back Hoffman, Dadonov, and the defenseman, because, they let go Ola. Walmart, right? Because he was not what maybe Kenville looking for. So Kenville study looking for what kind of play he likes, and that's what he bring a guy a kudos, everything like that. That's a great point, I think, about that part. I would say to you, that team look what Kenville coach usually. And that's what they have right now under his umbrella. I'll be interested in the next when you're coming back, not next week, but maybe in 1 month, what we're going to say, all right, now the trade deadline, they're going to be a buyer. They're not going to sell. So what kind of player they're looking for? Who can bring that kind, what they need for the playoff? I think they need maybe 1 or 2 more players to join that team to go a good ride.
I would say talking right now about that, and it's early, maybe a veteran centerman. No, I'm not talking about it. Maybe even a third line type centerman. A little more strength, a little more experience down the middle. But that's not to take any away from Losterinen, who's done a great job. Wenberg has stepped it up in the number 2 line of late as well. And Achari's been out. He's your 4th line center.
But you're absolutely right. I love your idea about this. When you talk about this, one of my mind right now, Eric Stahl. I know said he's a perfect one, but the
guy like that.
You said, big guy, third centers, 35, 36 year old. I would say to you, Ryan Getzlav could be another one rent players for the end of the year. And
yes,
you're absolutely right. I love that idea there. I would maybe bring maybe a bigger, experienced defenseman, not the top 3, at the bottom 4, 5, and 6. Go get that kind of players, can helping that team to finish strong the end. I was thinking about Max Stahl. That's not a little bit better to Max Stahl or Jordy Ben, and a better player like them, but have 10, 12, 15 years experience, or maybe someone been there before. They won the Stanley Cup, like Pat Maroon, not said to bring him because he's thin, but a kind of the player been to the Stanley Cup. They know how they win, what it takes to win, and that's what you're absolutely great. There's a great point about that one over there. It'll be interesting what the Panthers, like Bill Zito, is going to do in the next 3-4 weeks. And, I will see the team still winning until then, right? So you have to.
When is the deadline? Do you know? Do you guys know? When is
6 weeks. So we are about middle of March. I think it's end of the March or something like that, or the first week in April.
Right.
But we are there at that moment. They talk about this, and I think it'll be interesting to talk about that. So look, we cannot go again. We have about 12 questions. We cannot go there, but we appreciate your time you take with us Tuesday. You bring a lot. I'm getting a lot of people text me because I put your name.
Whatever you want. You want to hit a couple of questions, or you guys believe it?
Text me about that part over there. So I'll be interested. I cannot have the question anymore because Michael run the stream yard, so I'm losing all the question over there. But
next time.
Definitely the next time over there. But one question I have is about the Panthers. One one of the fan of the Panthers said, "What do you think? They have a controversy goaltender or not?"
It's a good question. It's the hottest question right now.
Really?
Let me answer it a couple of ways. Joe Quenneville said yesterday, "No controversy," and he laughed.
I heard that.
How can it not be at least a little? It's an issue. Certainly. There's no question that who's playing better though. It's Drieger. But I think back, Frenchie, to when Craig Anderson was backing up Vaucoon, and Vaucoon was making all the money, and Craig Anderson would have an unbelievable game, and guess what? He didn't start the next game. They went back to Vaucoon. Now, that management at the time was the one who signed Vaucoon to the contract. I think there's a difference when you're not the guy laying out the big bucks. You didn't do the deal. You don't have to answer to the owner, why'd you give this guy so much money? And this is not a knock on Bob. He's just been okay. He's made some big saves. Drieger's just played better. Quite frankly, he's played better, and the coaching staff's telling you that, not Craig Miniervini. Drieger's got more starts than Bobrovsky now, and he's played, I think, 4 of the last 5, and may very well get the start again tomorrow before Bob plays on Thursday. So the coaching staff is telling you what they think. That means Rob Tallis too, the goaltending coach, who often is a major factor in the decision, ultimately lies with Quenneville. But Rob Tallis is a big say in that. So I don't think it's a controversy necessarily. Now, you and I aren't Sergei Bobrovsky. He gets a nice contract twice a month, but he can't be very happy. But that's pro sports. That's the way it goes. And right now he's being outplayed.
I like your answer, but I will add one thing about this is it's easy right now because you have an experienced coach for many years in NHL and you win the Stanley Cup like Joey Quenneville. But I'm not sure if you have a coach less experienced, like a young coach, like maybe Bob Bonner or maybe Jeremy Collington in Chicago right now, right? He's only 37 years old, 38, or Shelton Keefe. Come to the coach that team, and then he had to deal with Sergei Bobrovsky and everything like that with the $10 million, 8 million, 8 years, everything like that. The pressure on him to sit him would be harder. But that's Joel Quenneville. He can do what he wants because his resume has been there. Does it make sense?
Right.
So if you don't want to start Bobrovsky for the next 5 games, nobody's going to complain. Nobody's going to get controversy because here's Joel Quenneville.
You're right. It's I didn't even think of that. It's cachet, right? It's he gets the best seat in the restaurant. Nobody even questions why he went to the front of the line. You're absolutely right. Quenneville's got and they've got Zito as the GM who's backing him. Obviously, they have a good rapport. They've clicked. You could tell real quickly. And look, I don't think that if you had their druthers, they would love to see Bobrovsky go crazy and take over and substantiate the decisions that they've made to sign him to that big deal. I think that's, he's won the Vezina 2 times. He's got a proven record, whereas Drieger now is impressing you every night, but doesn't have a proven record. So I think if you have the druthers, you prefer Bobrovsky, you're the guy that you said is number 1, to take it. But even Quenneville in camp was saying 1A, 1B, because he saw Drieger last year play so well. So good problem to have at the very least. And we're also finding out, Frenchie, we saw McElhaney struggle last week. We saw the Carolina guy, Nedeljkov, didn't play that great. You need 2 goalies to win here. You're going to have to rely on the other guy to win an important 4-point game each and every time out. The Panthers have 2 good ones. Right now, Drieger's the better one.
Great point here when you said, because I was going to say this, it's a great problem you have. That kind of problem when you don't worry about a goaltender because they both can be in front of the net. The second thing is I said the team's going to make the playoff. 90% of them, they're going to have 2 good tender and the team. They cannot hang in there 56 game, carry on only 1 game. I can tell you that Koskinen at the beginning of the year, while the others struggle, they don't have any backup goaltender because Smith was out, right? And that's what's happening. It's rare you have a Vasilevsky can go night after night that way, right? But you need to get the goaltender. Look, Montreal, prior to a difficult year, Allen pack up over there, do great over there. I believe Islanders, we have to figure out something because Varlamov cannot carry on 45 game over there. What's over the young kid, Sokolin is pretty good over there. I don't think so. It's the same quality goaltender you have over there. Carolina is lucky because Carolina right now, Rimmer carry on the low. You have 7 or 8-1 right now. But
Right.
game against average of 3.35. So Carolina to win each game when Reimer is in the net, you need to score 4 goals, Craig.
Right.
It's not easy to do this night after night.
No. Reimer played. He didn't have a great run here. A very likable guy. He had some good nights though. But is he the guy to take you to the playoffs and a long way through? Well, I mean, hey, look, good for him. He might get a shot. But I like the Panthers standing better when it comes to that. Vasilevsky, you're right, he's like old school. He's on a pace for like a 70 game, season in a regular type season. And that's with all these games coming up. I like. I happen to be friendly with Craig Anderson. I've known him a long time, and now Washington picked him up, and he was kind of languishing as the number 3, and he just won a hockey game the other night. That's a nice veteran guy to put in there. That's been tested.
You know what I mean? Like he struggled when he wanted to back. He came late on one game, like third period, everything. He gave a goal at the 5-0, everything like that. He was a little bit shaky. They bring him back on the Texas squad after that. They bring back up. We know over there is Samsonov. Over there is number 1. He was impressed by Vinnycek because he's goal like 13, 14 game over there. But
Right.
again, Anderson, I would say to you why, and I think the Washington Peter Laviolette did that. And I know they lost Henrik Lundqvist, everything like that, but Laviolette bring players like Shara and Anderson for the not a mindset, the way to learn to win, but also to become a professional, to do the right things during the year. And I think that's why Washington don't have enough. And that's what Anderson bring. I think for the Florida Panthers, they will need experience, like you said, because you need to learn to become a professional hockey player. Look at Toronto until this year, like Minor, Matthew. Look, Matthew, why he become who he is right now? Same skill, same talent. He's just learning to become a hockey professional player.
Right.
And it takes time. Look, Roberto did not flourish at 20 years old. He flourished at 25, 27, 28 because he takes a time to become what it takes to become a hockey professional player. Right? So what it is, but first to learn your work ethic, to routine every day, to showing up every day. What is the quality of Barkov? Humble and also consistency night after night is the same number 16 you see Barkov night after night. Is a one player, unfortunately, is never going to be recognized because he played in Florida, but this kid play at Toronto, New York, or Montreal, Vancouver. Barkov is going to be maybe the one of the most recognized center in NHL because we don't. Last we have a great see him night after night, but not many people see what Barkov does on the ice on both ways. He's maybe he's going to be on the Frank Selke top 3 at the end of the year.
He might win that. He won the Lady Byng and he might win the Selke. It depends on if the team does better. You get a little. You're shown on NHL Network a little higher in the standings, and that doesn't hurt. For people to see it. A lot of people only catch the highlights. The hockey people know how good he is.
Absolutely. I know we are it now, but I want to have a question because 20 minutes ago was the question I want to remind you.
Yes.
I grow in hockey. I have mentors and icon, and I want to be this, and I have a coaching style, and I follow those Mike Packard, Hitchcock, everything like that to become a broadcaster. And this week I have I was meltdown because I see the report about the human side, a human being of Doc. As for years, they have so many great words. The people recognize him not as the voice, the human being. Like I heard, Catherine and the head old chick and all those people, and where he started whole wine, everything like that. What was Doc for you at the end at some point? What represent for you, Doc? During that longevity you are right now in the sport, not only in hockey, be also in baseball.
I got to MSG Network right when he got there. I think for the Devils or somewhere around there, but I never actually met him early in the day, and I probably shook his hand once somewhere along the line. But I never knew him personally, but I did know him because the nature of broadcasting, we come into people's homes every night, and you feel like they are your friend. The thing about Doc Emmerich to me is. there's rarely you get the big time announcer who doesn't have a big ego, who elevates the game. He put the game on a level, like way up here, and he kind of guy that you could relate to because he wasn't talking down to you ever. Very conversational and thorough, and he would mention who the organ player is, and the background of the referee, and the other little nuggets that make up the great game of hockey. Not just the everybody does a good job in the NHL play-by-play, point A to point B, but he had a way of doing it in a flowery way, not your typical, and then it was passed back, but furthered and around the roulette in a very unique style. Nobody ever called a game like him. But I miss his voice. Man, do I miss that voice on a game.
I'm so right about that, and so great the way you express your way what Doug is, but you've been there because your relationship with players, everything like that, and to see him have so many great relationships, like the human being of the person, not only love the passion he has for his job, but to be grateful day after day to have a chance to do something. And behind the scene, we don't know. I don't know the life of Barkov, right? I don't know the life of Joel Kenville, right? We don't see this until they talk about or they see this. But Doug have a relationship of 42 years with his wife, Greg. Mm-hmm. And that showed to us, what kind of person it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think he missed a big game. It might have been a winter event or one of those because his dogs were ill. He didn't have any children, but his dogs were his family. I believe he went back to, if I'm not mistaken, they probably covered in that piece. I taped that. I didn't see it yet. I'm dying to see it.
But again, I go to see this, but also the fact like he gave back. Like right now, he tried to helping the people start at 20. He helped so many people, young broadcaster. We all you've been there. Like you start like an intern, you start like a minor league baseball, a hockey, baseball, everywhere, and then you grow the ladder all the way up. He helped so many people, and that's who he is, honestly. And that's for me, it's a classy people. I remember Jean Béliveau. I was 16 years old, and I'm not afraid. And I called Jean Béliveau to see if I can get free tickets for 20 people of my school and everything like that. Be honest with you, he's answered himself talking to me. He could, hey, who the hell is this guy, right? 16 years old wants to talk to me, right? But he did not, because that's what he was, Jean Béliveau. Yeah. He would care about whatever you name, your age. He would care to give the best of himself, his best version. That's what is special people like Béliveau, and Doc, everything like that. So for me, it was like they are different because they care about other people. And that's what they have been. And that's why they are so respectful about who they are. This weekend, the milestone of 1,000 game of Sidney Crosby, whatsoever you don't like, some maybe what he does on the ice, everything like that. But everybody in the league, play with, they always recognize the human being of Sidney Crosby as a person. He's an always high level, classy person in life. And that's why you remember those kind of players at the end when you finish to play hockey. So, I know it took you a little bit more, your longer time, but I want to mention, because some people listening, they are 17, 18, 19, they are done with hockey, they now have no career, and then they maybe looking for other option. He can be proud to be part of the team and do some other things, what they need, that, team looking for broadcaster and analyst coach and video coach, everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot around the game. The business side, social media these days is huge to help promote a team. Tickets. I see a lot of young people in the Panther offices. They're working their way up in the ticket departments. Pro sports and most of these leagues. I know baseball hasn't have these gatherings in the off season where you can find out about positions with teams and work. You really have to put the hard work in and work your way up the ladder. And also, sometimes your pal is going in a different business, making a ton of money, and you're struggling, but you love what you're doing, and that's the case for broadcasting too. Is that don't go in it to be the $6 million man, because it takes a while to get to maybe where you want to go. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go after what you really want to do.
Whatever you do in life, it's not about the money, it's about the passion. And when you love the passion you have about what you do, you make a lot of money because you love every day what you're doing every day. When you show up at the ring, because you smile, you have fun, you love what you do. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's all about. Find a way, a purpose in your life, what you love.
Right.
Something. It's not about the money, it's about the passion you bring. Right. And that's all about. So, Greg, it's over limit right there. I apologize. We take your time, but we love to having you. You're welcome to join us anytime. And you bring a lot of good things in from the Panthers. And to come every Tuesday morning, and then the Panthers won the Monday night. That's a better way to start the day here.
I'm glad
and we enjoyed having you, and I look forward to see you next time. And thanks again for your collaboration with us today.
Good to be with you guys. I'll see you next time.
All right. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Look forward to see you tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Thank you, Greg.
Okay. Thanks, Frenchie. That was fun. See you later. See you at the rink.